Okay, it's the 19th hole podcast. Here now with Josh Heptig. He is the San Luis Obispo County golf superintendent. Now, that you oversee 3 golf courses.
Correct. So I manage 3 courses for the county. I'm kind of their pseudo owner. So Morro Bay, Dairy Creek, and Chalk Mountain golf courses.
Okay, and we're here today to talk about Dairy Creek. Correct. Because there's so much going on.
You know, the rumors are many and far between out there. So we totally understand that, and it's been a very difficult issue of trying to figure out where we go. But ultimately, what's going to happen is we just simply don't have enough water for the golf course. So we're tied to the prison system. Cut the prisoners in half. We lost 60% of our water. We've got to do something. So we went to the Board of Supervisors. We did a whole bunch of public engagement. Where we're going is it ultimately will become a 9-hole golf facility.
Okay.
So we're looking at keeping the existing 9 holes, which, you know, right now we're calling it firm, fast, and fun. We've got 18 holes is open.
Until it rains, right? And then when it rains, then everything comes back, right?
Yeah, well,
I remember last year how it looked like Ireland out there.
It's
It
unbelievable.
was beautiful. You could get out there and play in February or March last year. I mean, that was just, it was gorgeous.
When it greens up, it's unbelievable out there. And even when it's brown, it's a nice juxtaposition of the brown hues with the green hues. It's just a different type of golf. It's going back more to Ireland and Scotland during the summertime when you're over there, when it's not quite as lush. Not as much irrigation.
So, I mean, it is like, it is true links style in that sense. I mean, just like you are in Ireland, just depending on what time of year it is.
We can water everything that we have the amount of water to do. So right now we just don't have any more water other than just for the putting green. So we're watering the 18 holes of golf, or 18 greens on the golf course, and then the practice areas and the driving range tee. So
now we're recording this podcast in November of 2017. What is the outlook for when it will be scaled down to a 9-hole course?
So there's a few different things in the works. So we're trying to develop a relationship with Cal Poly, the men's and women's golf teams for the university. They are using the facility currently right now, but ultimately we want to try and move the driving range to make it more, going towards what our ultimate goal of Dairy Creek is to be. So oftentimes non-golfers think of the game of golf as kind of staunch, uppity, kind of closed-minded a little bit. We want to try and change that aspect of what golf is. We want to make Dairy Creek the fun place to go out and play. We want to make it inviting to people that maybe haven't tried the game of golf but have had an interest in the game of golf, to try and get them out there. So we're doing some things right now called Family Fun Day on Sundays, where for $40 a family of 4 can come out and play golf for $40. That's golf carts included. So bring your kids, bring the parents, bring a foursome, sixsome. Well, sixsome is kind of where we're cutting that off at. So you can bring 6 people out there as long as you have one person that's under the age of 18, $40, golf carts and everything included. So come out and have fun.
Jeez, sounds like a good time.
We'll move the driving range. Part of the plan when we go to 9 holes is to move the driving range to immediately right behind the pro shop. So you can walk straight out of the pro shop or straight out of the restaurant, right onto the driving range tee and hit balls right there. So the point of that is we want to try and make that easier for people. So right now you have to walk, a couple hundred yards to get to our driving range from the pro shop and restaurant. We want to have it right front there and center, because the changes that will go on in the park, we're trying to bring more people to the golf course, to the clubhouse area, which will eventually be the main building area for the park itself. So hopefully if somebody's out there mountain biking or doing something else, that they're sitting in there having a beer, a sandwich after their trail ride, they turn around and see people out there hitting range balls, like, what the heck's going on with that? Let's go give that a try. So then they come in the pro shop, grab a bucket of balls, and maybe they become a golfer. Maybe even they don't.
The Dairy Creek we're going to start to see it be a transformation from not only a place that you can play golf, but just kind of a headquarters for recreation. Isn't that true? I mean, there's a lot of different plans that you guys got going on out there.
There are. So from the public meetings that we did have, it came to we came to realize that we don't necessarily just have a golf issue or water issue at Dairy Creek Golf Course, but we kind of have an identity problem with El Chorro Regional Park, which is where the golf course actually resides. Recently there's been newspaper articles in the Tribune about, talking all this stuff that was going on at Dairy Creek and El Chorro Regional Park, from the naming of the park, renaming it or not renaming it, which we're ultimately going to keep at El Chorro Regional Park. But even in those Tribune articles, it stated that El Chorro Regional Park has all this stuff going on, and it has a golf course adjacent to it. Well, the golf course isn't actually adjacent to the park. The golf course is within the park. So it's a 720-acre park that, for the most part, only about 200 roughly 230 acres have actually been utilized. So the majority of that's been the Slow Botanic Garden, our campground area, as well as the golf course. So what we became aware of is the fact that the integration of the park and the golf course are two separate things. When you pull into El Chorro Regional Park, you come to a fork in a road where there's a sign that says Dairy Creek Golf Course, and you go right to go to the park, and you go left to go to the golf course. So immediately you're segregating park users right off the bat. So one of the intents that we had with what we do with Dairy Creek is to actually integrate golf into parks and parks into golf. And a lot of that has to do with some of the communication of municipal golf and how does that fit within the municipal recreational pursuits of the people within our communities. So that's ultimately what we want to do. So with the changes of the park, we're going to be adding a lot of different things. Yes, we're going to have to lose some holes of golf, basically because we just can't simply irrigate it. Mm-hmm. And the golfers in the community have told us through their playing habits that if it's not green, we're not going to play it as often. And so we're losing money from a business perspective. Everybody wants government to start acting a little bit more like a business. So this is essentially what we're trying to do, is we're trying to become more like a business. The different aspects that you will begin to see out there in the park are going to be some camping cabins. You'll see tent camping actually in some of the areas where the golf course was in the past. But we're going to bring other aspects to it as well. So going along with the golf, we'll be moving the driving range so it's easily accessible from other people. We'll bring mini golf out to the facility. There'll be some disc golf at the property, batting cages. We'll do some electric go-karts, more or less trying to turn it into a family fun center.
Yeah, and that's something that's kind of needed. I mean, I know you're a father of young children. I'm a father of young children. And before Sinsheimer Park was upgraded, my biggest complaint was there's nothing to do to take the kids to
Sure.
and you need something like this in the community, and this community has nothing like that. So the changes from a family perspective are welcome. I mean, families are excited about the news, and I would think travelers as well. When you're coming to the area, you're looking to the area, it's always kind of blown my mind that you have there's a campground there at El Chorro that really, it's booked on the weekends, but it should be in the summertime booked through the entire week because of what is offered there. Not only is there a golf course right there, but then it's also right in between Morro Bay and San Luis Obispo. Do you get a better location than that? Probably not. From a standpoint of just being centrally located and vacationing on the Central Coast. So now it sounds like what your plans are is maybe market it from a standpoint of like, hey, come here. This is a good epicenter for not only for you to stay and play golf, but also for your family to have fun.
Absolutely. We want to basically have a little bit of something for everybody. So there'll be an interconnected, bit larger trails. We'll have some BMX skills courses, BMX pump tracks like the one that's in Morro Bay. Try and have a little bit of something for everybody that's out there. So ultimately with the different trail systems, BMX, hiking, other different types of whatever recreational pursuits you have on trails, to be able to get up into maybe the West Cuesta grade, to have the trail system go all the way up that direction, up towards Highway 101.
Wow.
So it'll be extensive. And then with the different trail systems that are going to interconnect Morro Bay as well as the city of San Luis Obispo and Cal Poly, it could be a trail system that brings people to the El Chorro Regional Park for a lot of different uses and a lot of different pursuits recreationally.
You got to start somewhere, and it sounds like that's what you're doing. So, I mean, it's kind of when you look at it from a project standpoint, you've taken what seems like a negative and turned it into a huge positive from a community standpoint, and you're able to keep golf, and it's not going to be your typical par 3 executive course, right? With the new layout of the 9-hole course.
Yeah, correct. So it won't even be a new 9-hole golf course. So it's essentially going to be our current back 9. So we've got 3 par 3s, 3 par 4s, and 3 par 5s, which you really don't find very many par 5s on a 9-hole golf course ever. We'll have 3 of them, and the back 9 at Dairy Creek is really, to me, it's a really fun experience of golf. You've got a really short par 4 that's drivable for many of the long hitters. You've got some pretty challenging par 3s, and then you've got some par 5s where you can really score and you can make some low numbers out there. So, and ultimately we want to try and add some more tee boxes so you can actually come out and play that golf course as a 3-hole golf course if you so desired to do so, or a par 3 golf course if you desired to do so, and a lot of different tee boxes in between so that you can get a different experience. So if you come out there and want to play 18 holes of golf, you don't just have to play the same tee boxes 2 times around.
Do you remember reading those Choose Your Own Adventure books?
Absolutely. I loved those as a kid.
So you're like, I go read it again. Let's go ahead and turn to page 67 this time. Yeah.
And that's tough with the game of golf. Oftentimes we get in our own way as golf. The tradition of golf is what makes golf great, but it's oftentimes what makes it difficult as well. With realistically, somebody could come out to the golf course right now and play as a par 3 golf course if they wanted to. There's nothing that says you have to go back and tee up where the tee boxes are at. Go find your spot out in the middle of the fairway and hit your shot from there. We had a group of ladies, I guess it wasn't necessarily ladies, but a lot of different mixed users that with Rudy Duran when he was doing the passport program out at Dairy Creek, he would bring new golfers out there, and one of his experiences was he'd throw a ball down at 100 yards and ask people, okay, what are you going to use to hit this? And you'd get all kinds of people at, I'll hit driver, I'll hit 3-iron, I'll hit whatever club. He's like, well, how about we all try putters? And everybody's like, well, you can't putt from the fairway. Why can't you? It's one of your 14 clubs that you're allowed to have in your bag, so you can use any of those clubs at any one time. But oftentimes in golf, we think that putter's only used on the putting green, and you have to use other things from different areas. So there's nothing that says that you have to play a golf course from the tee boxes where they're designated. You could go drop it in the middle of the fairway and play from there and enjoy yourself all day long. That
was one of my biggest challenges when I started playing golf. And I have a friend that was really good, and he played since he was very young and got college scholarship, and now he's working out in Scottsdale at a golf course. And I would go play golf with him because I knew he was really good, and I'd be on the fairway, and I thought in my mind, I'd be like, okay, I gotta chip this onto the green. He's like, what are you doing? You gotta pull the putter out of the bag and use the putter because it's giving you a better shot at getting closer to the hole. And that kind of stuff we don't think about, but it goes back to this whole concept of rethinking golf and rethinking the way you approach it and make it fun and not make it rigid. You get this feeling, and that's what it sounds like you guys are doing with the Sunday deal out at Dairy Creek. You invite the family out. You said it was $40 carts, everything for the entire family
included. Yep, we've got rental sets for kids from the age of 3 all the way up to wherever you transition to the bigger set of clubs.
Okay, how old are your kids?
My kids are 8 and 10.
8 and 10.
Yep.
When did you get them started on golf?
I really didn't even get them started on golf. My older daughter at the time, she was not quite 2 years old. I came home one day and she said, Dad, when are we going to go to the driving range? So she's the one that set the tone with golf, and I keep trying to push into soccer and these different sports to get them, make them well-rounded individuals.
Because you don't want to be the dad that forces them into the family business, right?
I've never pushed them into that. So we've got first tee at Dairy Creek and at Morro Bay. And they started at Morro Bay before Dairy Creek had the first tee, and they wanted to do that. And every year that comes around, I say, hey, do you guys want to play soccer? Girls want to play softball, basketball, volleyball? What do you want to do? Like, no, we're good with golf. We play soccer at school. So the first tee is their thing, which I'm not going to complain about, and that's one thing we've set up too. So if you're a parent that has a kid at first tee at Dairy Creek, when your child is at Dairy Creek, you can go out and play as many holes as you want to for $5 out on the golf course, and add $10 for a golf cart, and so for $15 you can go play for an hour and a half while your kid's at first tee. Which
come summertime is nice. Yep. Because it keeps the kids busy and occupied. I mean, that's what
Absolutely.
And it keeps you busy and occupied with something that's exercise related, and it's just a fun thing, and it's I always say that I know you're not into forcing kids into golf, but man, if there's something that you could force them into, golf is not a bad way to go, because it teaches them a lot of respect. It teaches them a lot of etiquette and respect for others, and a lot of the things that we see that are going away by things that are introduced into society, whether it be Facebook or smartphones or tablets or politics, whatever. It's all kind of, it's hard to keep track of, and everybody needs a break every once in a while. And the kids could learn that they could take a break too, because they're going in 6 different directions at all times, and they've got soccer, they've got ballet, they've got whatever. Well, it's nice to get out for 2 hours if you can and just enjoy nature.
And for $40, what we're looking at it as, if you've got young kids, sometimes it's hard to get them to focus on something for more than 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So for $40, if you come out and get 3 or 4 holes in and the kids bug out, don't even worry about letting them play golf. Just kids are kids. They're going to find something on a golf course to do, whether it's chasing a bug in the,
have them go find some balls for you.
I mean, there's 18 sandboxes on that golf course. There's one on every green. Sometimes there's 2 of them on every green. So just let them go have fun. And those are some of the things that we want to try and break down some of those barriers of what golf is. We want to see more women playing golf. We want to see more minorities playing golf. We want to see people coming out there and not wearing their collared shirts and just wearing T-shirts. We don't care if that's the situation or not. We just want people coming out and playing golf because of all the things that you just mentioned, that, through the first tee, there's those 9 healthy habits of perseverance and responsibility and respect. There's tons of them, and there's so many good things that come of golf. I mean, it's great to get kids into organized sports, whether it's basketball, football, volleyball, you name it. But all of those sports have an official that are taking care of making sure that everybody does the rules. In golf, that's one of the coolest things, is that you've got to call the penalties on yourself. And when you see some of these kids go out and play competitively, they know the rules, and they're not afraid to call those penalties on themselves, which is, that's a unbelievable trait to instill within society.
Yeah, I mean, owning up to it.
Yep.
So much in the headlines lately about owning up to what you do. Well, that's, golf. Who knows? Maybe if those people would play golf, then you never know. So there's lots of changes for the golf course in terms of adding go-karts and cabins and camping and tent camping and stuff like that. What about the golf course itself? When you go out there and you play golf and you play on those 9 holes, what is in store for Dairy Creek?
Well, so it's going to be the same back 9 that everybody loves at this point. We talked about it earlier, the 3 par 3s, the 3 par 4s, and the 3 par 5s. We hope to add some more tee boxes in the future. By going to 9 holes, we'll have enough water to keep that 9 holes fairly green. We don't necessarily guarantee that it's going to be wall-to-wall green, that all the roughs are going to be green, but we'll have green fairways, we'll have green putting greens, and we'll have green surrounds around the greens. Some of the tee boxes, we might put in some synthetic tees, more like the nicer tees. You can actually put a tee into the ground and hit out of that. But it's not going to be the brown, firm, fast, and fun golf course like one of the golfers termed out there recently. Which I loved that term. It was great that he came out, and that's awesome.
Hey, I'm a weak hitter. I like dry golf courses.
We've had so many people. So right now we're $20 to play golf, $18 more if you want to ride. So for $38, you can come out and play 18 holes of golf. In the afternoons we're $14, and then an additional $10 to ride. So for $24 right now at $230, you can play as many holes as you can before the sun goes down.
Nice. And that's with cart.
That's with a golf cart.
Okay.
So a lot of people that are regular customers right now are saying, hey, we don't want the rain, we don't want the water, because we've got our own private country club out here, and we hit the ball a ton.
Yeah.
So you hit a driver normally 200 yards, you're going to hit one that's about 310, 320 if you get out there. So it's actually pretty fun. But so the golf course will be green with the 9 holes. The other 9 holes, I mentioned earlier that we're trying to develop that relationship with Cal Poly for the men's and women's clubs, or teams rather, but they're going to be having their own 3-hole area on the front 9. So we're looking at the first hole, the 7th hole, and the 8th hole, providing practice facilities for Cal Poly's men's and women's teams in the morning. When they get done with it, around 8:30, 9 o'clock, then the general public will be able to use those spaces as well, for their practice area. The driving range will be much bigger. Right now we use limited flight golf balls because the bigger hitters can hit it into the creek or into the second fairway over there. This will add another 80 to 100 yards to the driving range, so we can start using fully loaded golf balls again, and you can actually see how the ball reacts with your driver better than what you can right now. So it'll be a better overall experience. There's some newer technologies out there that'll allow us to possibly provide more of a top golf kind of an experience. We'd like to have some projection screen TVs out there ultimately, so even if you're not a golfer and you and your buddies want to come out and watch a game, if you've got a couple buddies in your group, you bring 10 guys with you, and there's a few of them that like to hit balls, you guys can go sit on the driving range, watch projection screen TVs, and hit balls occasionally, or not if you don't want to, and order the food and just have it brought straight out to the tee box. It'll provide a great event space out there as well. We'll have some bocce ball courts in and around, and then added event space for weddings and various different other types of non-golf related activities.
It sounds like what was once a golf course is now going to be a full-fledged resort and recreation space.
We want it to be which
is great for the community.
So our golf architect, Andy Staples, he coined the term community links. So it's a golf course that's also a community center. So the first one that he developed is in Hobbs, New Mexico, and he turned an 18-hole municipal golf course into another 18-hole municipal golf course, just revamped it, gave it a different look, but integrated trails and everything else to where the first user group that came out when they reopened the golf course was actually a symphony that came out and did a concert at the golf course, as opposed to actually people playing golf. Mm-hmm. Golf was the second thing that came out there. And we're kind of looking to do the same thing. So our community links, the term we look at as links, is also a link to the community, not necessarily the links in the golf term of links, but a link to the community. So we want the community to come out, use the facility, create memories and experiences. That's what we are in county parks. That's our whole purpose, is to get people out recreating, developing those relationships, which oftentimes people don't think about as golf, but golf is a huge social activity. You're paired up with people that you may not know. They're people that you may know. One of the most prized possessions I have to this day is a picture where I've got, so we kind of have two families in one, and I say that kind of weird, but same parents, but I've got two brothers and sisters, and my other sister and I are 18 years apart. So one of my most prized possessions is a picture where my grandpa almost made a hole-in-one. My dad's in the picture. I think I was 20 at the time, and my little brother was 3, and we were all playing together. And so it was almost like 4 different generations. Mm-hmm. And that was really cool, because it was a couple years later my grandpa passed away, so that was the last round of golf I got to play with him. But there's not many sports or activities that you can get, a 75-year-old all the way down to a 3-year-old playing together on the same activity and enjoying everything.
Yeah, so, try that with volleyball.
or football. How about that one? But it's, we want to try and break down some of those barriers to bring more people out to the game of golf and prove that golf can be something more fun and more activity. And you were talking earlier about the cell phone usage and things like that. Mm-hmm. Golf can be a great way for your teenagers. It's hard for parents that I know of. I mean, when I was a teenager, I was horrible. Never wanted to talk to mom and dad.
Yeah.
But you take the teenagers out to the golf course, make sure the phones stay in the car.
In the car. Don't try the bag. I've tried that before. It doesn't work.
And you actually get out and you're in nature. Mm-hmm. You're recreating. You're enjoying each other's company. And even if you get in an argument after 4 or 5 holes, for $15.
Yeah.
What have you really lost? I mean, you're spending $100 to go down to Disneyland and leave arguing, and I didn't get that prize out of the gift shop or whatever else.
That's true. That's true. Well, it's the new Disneyland. It's Dairy Creek. Get on out there and check it out for the golf for the time being, and then in the future, it's going to be a recreation center for everybody. I think it's great because really, when you talk about it. And you're talking about county property and people that are taxpayers. This really, what you guys are doing and what you're transitioning to out there actually reflects more to multi-purpose use. I don't know what percentage of people actually play golf. Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably do play golf. But keep in mind that there are so many other people out there that would like to use this space, and now this new plan gives them the ability to do so.
Yep. I mean, St. Andrews, where golf was created, Sundays it's closed as golf, and it's just a park. You can go out there and picnic and ride your bike around and do everything else. And golf is not allowed.
I did not know that.
Golf at St. Andrews is not allowed on Sundays.
Wow.
It is an open park for the community to use. So we've even considered some of that, aspects of that into the golf facility. So, Andy Staples, our golf architect, I didn't quite finish that, but, he coined the term or mocked something together on a T-shirt, called it the One Pitchin' Regional Bark. I gotta be careful how I say that, but it's One Pitchin' Regional Bark. We've got a dog park in there, so you got the barking, pitching with the softball and everything else, as well as pitching with the golf. So it's kind of I'm gonna make that T-shirt.
Yeah, you gotta make that T-shirt. So all kinds of T-shirts here on the Central Coast. Josh, thank you so much for coming by and talking with us today on the podcast. And we look forward to the changes out at Dairy Creek.
Yeah, thank you for the time, Jeff. Appreciate it.
The 19th Hole Podcast is a production of American General Media and CentralCoastGolfCard.com. All rights reserved. This podcast and any portion of this podcast may not be published, broadcast, rewritten, or redistributed in whole or part without the express written permission of American General Media or CentralCoastGolfCard.com. The 19th Hole Podcast is hosted by Jeff Kingman and can be found wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, go play some golf.